This is Jess with Local Music Somewhere, and you're listening to rBeatz Radio.
All right, so Clay, hey,
Hi,
you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. All right, guys, today on rBeatz Radio, we have Clay Mole with us, who is apparently very talented in many different areas, okay? You are an Olympic speed skater, first of all.
Correct.
Which is super, yes, crazy. And for your profession, you're a radiologic technologist, yes?
You know, that's a long story. I used to be. Music kind of took over half of my life. I'm now a full-time massage therapist. So got out of x-ray after 6 or 7 years of being an x-ray tech and just went full-time massage therapy to allow me to do music more. So I guess you could say I'm three-quarter full-time massage therapist and part-time musician. So.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, you move through lots of different specialties then. That's pretty great. That's awesome. So before we get into the music, can you tell me a little bit about the Olympic speed skating? How did that come to be?
I'd be glad to. I grew up in the Charlotte area, and so I was a inline speed skater, rollerblade racer. I grew up doing that. Some kids play baseball and soccer, and I was a speed skater. So that's really all I've ever done. Started with that, did that all through my youth and teenage years, and there's no Olympics for that. So you're seeing a lot of people like myself switch over to ice for a chance for the Olympics. So after 3 months after I graduated from high school, I was on a plane to Calgary, Canada. So I moved to Canada fresh out of high school, started training for long track speed skating there. Did a full year of training in Canada and did well enough to make a U.S. developmental team, which is like a step below the national team. So I moved to Minnesota. I was in Minnesota for a year and trained there, had a great season, and after that second year, I did well enough to qualify for the national team, so I moved to Salt Lake City, Utah, and spent the next several years training there. I was really close to making the 2002 Olympics, but I was still pretty new. I was still only 3 years in. And so missed that team by one spot, and then kept training in Salt Lake and started making world championship teams, going over to Europe a lot more. And in 2006, I made my first Olympic team. So it was a dream come true. It's all I ever wanted to pursue. I didn't even have any thought about music in my head at the time, but that's just all I wanted to do was skating. And so that was kind of my dream. And so in 2006, I skated in the Olympics and ended up 6th place, so didn't bring home any medals, but it's still pretty solid performance, and it was the dream of a lifetime, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone who could say they've done something like that. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when I have to ask, because you're a musician, so obviously you listen to music. Did you listen to anything when you were training, or were you allowed to have music on for getting amped up? Yeah, what were you listening to?
Been a fan of music and appreciated musical talent, and it was very much a hobby. I never did any singing or guitar playing until I was maybe 18 or 19, and one of my roommates had a guitar, and I'm banging out 3 terrible sounding chords and just learning to play when I'm in my very, very little spare time. So I just kind of started developing an interest in guitar and then singing along with my guitar. I'm not a Eddie Van Halen shredding. I'm a rhythm guitar player and a singer.
Same.
And so I just started learning it for fun. It was just something I did to blow off steam after a hard day of training, and I began to kind of get a love for music and an appreciation for music. Like I said, I was a late bloomer, so I never even thought I would play on a stage. But after all my skating years, I actually had time to pursue it. And then that's kind of when music started to snowball. So, but yeah, I'd listen to everything during my training days. Rock, country, blues. Just anything that was good. So
that's great. That's fantastic. So you ended up becoming a musician and started playing guitar and singing. So did you kind of do your own thing for a while until you got into a band, which we're going to talk about too, called Kids in America?
Yep.
Yes. And you guys play 80s tunes.
Mm-hmm.
So what came first? Is it you playing on your own first and then the band, or how did that go?
Yeah, me on my own at first, and then when you start out, you just get in. I think you're obligated to be in a couple terrible garage bands, so that's what we did. We just kind of started. So I went through the teeth cutting phase with horrible bands, and we had a great time sounding horrible. And then that kind of progressed into, okay, I've kind of met some good musicians now. And so my first serious project was actually, believe it or not, an all country project. We had some pretty good management, and we were a top 40 country cover band. So we played kind of up and down the East Coast a little bit, and I fronted the band, and we had a great time. We had a good, strong 3-part harmony going. My bass player, my guitar player were good singers too, so we had a good, strong 3-part. And we were kicking pretty good, and that kind of ran its course. And then I did a lot of solo and duo and trio work around Charlotte, just playing in breweries and stuff. And I knew the bass player for Kids in America, and he was like, we're parting ways with our male singer. We're going to need a new male singer, and we want you to. I'd always enjoyed hiding behind a guitar, that was kind of my thing. And there's like, you need to put your guitar down 70% of the time and front the band, So
Wow.
that was a new can of worms for me. But I love 80s, but I never saw myself being in a show band. So we have props on stage. If I'm doing a Billy Idol song, I'm putting on a Billy Idol wig. If I'm doing If I'm doing Van Halen, I'm putting on this blonde wig, or I'm wearing a Prince jacket if I'm singing Prince. So it's very much a show band, and for me that was a challenge, but it's been the most fun challenge that I could have ever thought. And so I auditioned, and they liked my the way I sang, and being able to sing a wide style of artist is something they were looking for. And we just hit it off. And so up until now, was in the band for 4 years. And it was a great ride. I just loved we play well over 100 shows a year, so it's quite literally a job.
Wow.
Because coincidentally, my massage therapy lends well to that. But we were out of state a lot. Fly gigs, or we do a lot of festivals. But so it was just a super fun time. And that kind of spawned off. 80s is our bread and butter. Our 80s show is our main, but we branched off in a 70s and a 90s show as well. Same band members.
Ooh, okay.
So we're a decade tribute band is what we are. So yeah.
That's so great. So okay, so obviously you guys played so many shows, and you visited lots of different places. So we're kind of kickstarting a program here called Local Music Somewhere, where we're kind of talking about local music scenes in different pockets of the country, and just kind of seeing, what's the support level like in the different areas, what types of genres are good, do the venues pay worth anything, things like that. So I just was curious if you had any insight on like which kind of cities you felt like were more conducive to maybe like indie level musicians or things like that. Did you or did you have a favorite spot or a favorite town or something that surprised you?
It's really, and I hate to say it, but it all goes back to who I didn't think there was anything happening in Charlotte, but that's really before I knew a lot of people around here. And there's a lot going on in this town, But as far as other towns, Nashville's always a great, even for indie, it doesn't have to be country. I'm sure you've been to Nashville many times, and there's a great indie scene there, and a lot of places to plug in.
Yeah. And I guess when I say that, I mean just kind of on that independent level without any, label backing. So
right. Chicago's a good spot for that. We've played Kids in America played a few shows in Chicago, and I found a good kind of independent thing going on in Chicago as well. So I think it's who and what you find, that there's surprises. Washington DC, there's a good little kind of indie scene there. We've done some shows in Washington, and so
Chicago and DC.
Yep. So,
nice, very cool.
Yep.
So so you're playing all these different characters and being the lead, which I can't even imagine going from rhythmic guitar and like you said, and then being in the front. It's just like you're MC. you're like leading the whole pack. And so, you know, to change gears that way, do you feel like that came naturally for you, or did you kind of have to develop any type of persona to become, you know, so, you know, forthcoming with all the words and everything like that? I mean, how different was that for you?
It was, like I said, it was a really fun challenge. I'm comfortable talking to large groups of people, and singing and being on a stage and leading a band, but the showmanship aspect of it was something I had to learn. It wasn't something I had done before to that level. You know, I think it's easy to entertain a crowd, but being someone else, or put, you know, we're doing this Prince song, I got to try to be Prince, and I couldn't be farther from Prince, but I got to try anyway. so learning to do that was the challenging part, but it was just super fun, you know. So I just did the best I could and embraced it, and you know, just enjoyed the challenge. So
that's so great. Wow, so many unique experiences. This is so great. So tell me more about your solo music. Like what genre? I know you're a songwriter. So what type of songs do you typically write?
If it's just me, I very much lean toward the singer-songwriter type. Do you know who Amos Lee is?
I'm not sure. I have to think about it.
You'll have to look him up. Really, really cool, unique guy. He used to be a history teacher, and he's like, one day he's like, screw it, I'm going to be a musician. And so he goes and pursues music. You should look him up. He's a very bluesy, soulful kind of singer, but a very unique style. To kind of sum that up, if I'm writing something, it's very much in the acoustic singer-songwriter vein. I dig that stuff, but hopefully something with a little different spin on it. But the closest thing I can give you is probably an acoustic singer-songwriter feel. That's typically what I write if I'm going to write. And my bands, especially this band, has pretty much been all-consuming. So I hope to, now that I have a little more time, get back to writing something, if nothing else, but to write it and record it for myself, just because I enjoy it, you know.
That's exactly, that's great. So when you write, so do you have like any kind of developed creative process yet, or is it kind of different every time when you approach a song? Or, you know, how does that work? Do you get like maybe a melody in your head, or is it a lyrical idea first? How does it work for you?
It's 50-50. Sometimes I'll write the guitar part first and just, that's a cool progression, and I'll write lyrics to it. Or it's vice versa. I'll hear something in my head, or a lyrical line or a melody line in my head, and I'll play to it. But usually the guitar comes first for me. If I can come up with a unique progression or something I think sounds good, I usually do that first and you know, come up with the lyrics afterwards, you know. So that, for me, it's more that way, I guess.
I think I'm the same way with the music. I kind of just feel the music first, and then I'm thinking, well, what does it feel like, or what do I want to say within this piece, you know?
Right.
It's hardly ever lyrics first for me, but that's cool. I always like to ask about that.
And I have to say, I listened to some of your stuff Wendy sent me, and it's really good. You're just really talented. So I really enjoyed hearing some of your recordings, and it was great. So
thank you. So speaking of working with other artists, we should do something together. I think there was, you know, an idea floating around about a song. What was it, Clay?
It was Four Non-Blondes, What's Up? That's the title of it, right? Okay.
Oh,
Everyone knows that song. Everyone knows that song.
That's so true. It's such an anthemic song, you know. But I would love to sing that. It's actually a pretty good belting song, so I gotta really make sure it is get ready for that.
Right, and I have full confidence in you, so that's good.
No, that'll be great. I'd love to play that one with you.
That's awesome.
So you guys be on the lookout for our little snippet of What's Up by Four Non Blondes. Okay,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. So speaking of recording, I know you've been touring and everything, and have you guys ever recorded anything together, or maybe you on your own, or?
As far as the band, we have promo material on our websites, and that's how we get, 90% of our gigs booked is from our promos. So
Wow.
we went
Yeah.
right here in Charlotte to a great studio, GAT3 Productions, and did our
Mhm.
audio, and then we hired a video team to come shoot the videos. So we have an 80s, of course, our 80s promo on our 80s website and our 70s promo on the 70s website. So that's what we have in terms of, if you're a working cover band, that's basically all you need, And
Yeah.
I think the goal with that band was just, we're a working band, and so we didn't record anything beyond that, but we do have those,
Okay, that's great. So, now you said this band had already existed before you came along, right? As the
Yes,
bass
yes.
player. Oh, okay.
Yep, they were
So,
around 2 years before I joined.
okay, that's great.
They've been around a
I'm
while.
really interested. Yeah. I'm interested to hear. I mean, I love the 80s. I feel like the 80s was one of the best decades for music.
Yeah.
But I'm also really into the 90s. I'd be very curious to see a 90s set from you guys too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you guys ever have like a favorite song that you guys played, or anything that you, I don't know, really connected with on stage together?
Yeah, the 90s show, we don't play it as often, so it was hard to get really attached to some of that music. But yeah, we a couple of the favorites of the 90s, we did a Foo Fighters tune, and that's right up my alley. I love the Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah, I love Dave Grohl.
Yeah, huge fan, me too. And so we did Learning to Fly. That was one of our kickoff songs, and I always did that. And stuff like Breakfast at Tiffany's, those kind of like acoustic, kind of upbeat songs. Some of that was always fun to play. For 80s, I gravitate towards stuff like Duran Duran. I'm a huge Prince fan, so I love Prince, and stuff like that. Duran Duran, even some Billy Idol. Played some Guns N' Roses and stuff like that too. But more Duran Duran is kind of my style, But
oh yeah, I love Duran Duran.
Yeah, and for the 70s, we played some yacht rock, which was really fun.
I love it. Yeah.
So if we're singing, if I'm doing like Brandy, by Looking Glass, that song Brandy, I'd put on a sailor's hat and just act stupid. It was my chance to just act ridiculous for a minute. So that was always fun. So
I love that. Yeah. Yacht rock. Yeah, I was I love Minute by Minute, Doobie Brothers, those type of things. Then I just recently rewatched that sketch again with Michael McDonald, just like popping in and singing backgrounds on all the songs.
It's awesome.
I love that stuff. Yeah, that's great. So, all right. Moving forward, I know you said you want to have more time to write on your own.
Yes.
Do you plan on, gigging solo, or maybe setting up shows on your own, or?
I do, because at this point, after 4 years, I did decide to step away from the band. And so I'm still going to be filling in for them on occasion. They need a backup. I'll step in and do a show with them. We have great relationships. So they're super awesome people. But now that I have a little more time after stepping away, I do plan to do more solo and duo stuff, around town at first, just to do it, and hopefully write some myself. And I'm connected with a guitarist here in town that I've been in other bands with too, and he's wanting to put something kind of eclectic and different together, and whatever shape that takes, I'm excited to see. But I hope to use this time to kind of do some things I haven't been able to do. So
that's great. Yeah, there's some great places to play in Charlotte. I know when I used to play, I would hit up the Evening Muse all the time in Noda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
great spot.
It's a nice. Yeah, it is.
Spot,
it is a nice little. Yeah. Yeah, it's great for acoustic, or a small piece, because I know one time I think I had to have a full band, and Ooh, that really rocked the space right there.
Yeah, it's kind of set up for acoustic acts. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's so cool. Well, we're really looking forward to hearing the new music.
Awesome.
Where can we find you to kind of follow what you're doing?
Well, if you want to see some videos from the past to see what I've done and maybe where I'm going, the videos are still active on the sites. It's kidsinAmericaBand.com, and it's 70skids.com. So that's some of the promo stuff we did. You can check that out. New stuff, I try to be or trying to be better about putting on Instagram and Facebook. I go by my full name, Jason Clay Mull, so you can find me that way. And so on those sites, I'll keep my independent stuff going when that starts, coming up. So
that's awesome. All right, well, we'll be sure to follow. I have another question though. If you could open for anyone,
oh my gosh, who would it be? So many people. Do I have to pick one?
I know. It's so hard, right?
Oh my gosh, if I could open for anyone, it depends on what mood I'm in and what kind of music I like that day when I wake up. Let me see.
There you go.
So
today.
Okay, today. I would have to say maybe opening for let's say someone like a not country, but not, I don't know. Do you know who the brothers Osborne are?
No.
They're a kind of a unique spin on a country band.
Okay.
They're not a major act, but I would say, maybe the brothers Osborne, Dave Matthews. If I could open for, Dave Matthews would be a big one because I feel like stylistically they appeal to so many people for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say Dave Matthews because you'd
have a big crowd. Yeah.
You got a big crowd. You got a diverse crowd that likes different styles of music. So yeah, we'll go with Dave Matthews.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Gosh, hopefully, just having more opportunities to connect with new listeners, and I want to learn more ways to do that because again, I kind of was late into music, and so for the listeners, I hope I can find new ways to reach you. So.
Fantastic. Well, we're so happy and excited to have you on the show today at rBeatz. So you guys make sure to check out Clay Mull. And all his handles will be in the description, and we look forward to seeing what's coming from you soon. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks as always for tuning into rBeatz Radio. Search for more local music somewhere on rBeatz.com and follow our social media for highlighted artists as we travel with #LocalMusicSomewhere.